Good morning, brothers and sisters, especially all the faithful of St. Anthony's Parish, and happy Wednesday of Easter. So some years ago, as I was preparing to become a priest, I spent some time at a parish called St. Linus Parish, and it was there that I met a man named Anthony, and we actually called him Brother Anthony. And everybody knew that Anthony was a holy man. He wasn't actually a religious brother. We just called him Brother Anthony. He was simple, down to earth, focused on the Lord. He was just kind of one of those guys that, you have a sense he's got one foot on earth, kind of one foot in heaven. He's kind of in his own world. But not that he's crazy. It's just that, he has I would say, a sense for the spiritual or supernatural. And so one day I was talking with Brother Anthony, and I remember he just kind of looked me straight in the eyes and he said, I've always wondered when I receive Holy Communion whether I'm receiving Jesus Christ crucified or Jesus Christ resurrected and risen. And at first I was just like, oh man, what a question. You think of what most of us think about on a daily basis. We're not thinking about a question like that. I didn't really have an answer for him, though, in that moment. But now I do. The answer to that question we can read in the Catechism, paragraph 1413. It says this: by the consecration, the transubstantiation of the bread and wine into the body and blood of Christ is brought about. Under the consecrated species of bread and wine, Christ himself, living and glorious, is present in a true, real, and substantial manner. His body and his blood with his soul and his divinity. What an awesome answer. That's the Council of Trent, by the way. I love it. Very clear, very profound, really. But it's Christ, living and glorious, who is present in Holy Communion when we receive him. And what I love is that I think is showed clearly and beautifully in today's gospel. The passage about the disciples on the way to Emmaus, and they encounter the risen Lord. And towards the end of the story, it says their eyes were open and that they recognized him in the breaking of the bread. Who did they recognize in the breaking of the bread? Jesus Christ, the risen Lord. So, brothers and sisters, it's a good reminder for all of us that as we approach the Lord in Holy Communion, it is Jesus Christ, living and glorious, who we are receiving. And I know it pains you. It pains me because you're not here. You're not able to receive Holy Communion in these times. But why does it pain you? Think about it. Because it's Jesus, living and glorified, who you receive in Holy Communion. To go without Holy Communion is a big deal. And you guys recognize that. You guys are aware of that. That's why you have this hunger for the Eucharist, this thirst for the Eucharist. And so on the one hand, let's give thanks to the Lord for humbling himself, for coming to us, glorified and risen in Holy Communion. And let's also ask for the strength during these times to persevere, right? Because the day will come, brothers and sisters, when we will gather together again. You will receive Holy Communion in our church, our parish here at St. Anthony, and in a substantial way receive Jesus Christ, living and glorious.